Time, you are our most precious asset. Every second that passes is gone forever, yet most people treat time as if it were endless. They drift through days without purpose, without the understanding that today's choices shape tomorrow's reality. Think of John, a man I met in Chicago back in 1985. He worked 2 jobs, lived in a tiny apartment, and drove a car that barely ran. His co-workers laughed when he brought packed lunches and never joined them for expensive dinners. For 3 years, he put away every spare dollar into his business idea. While others enjoyed their weekends, John studied market trends and developed his skills. They called him crazy, said he was missing out on life. Today, that same man employs over 500 people in his manufacturing company. His sacrifice transformed not just his life, but created opportunities for hundreds of families. His success leaves clues, and their most obvious one is sacrifice. Look at any person who has achieved something remarkable. An Olympic athlete, a successful entrepreneur, a renowned artist, and you'll find a trail of sacrifices behind their achievements. These aren't just dramatic, one-time choices, but thousands of small decisions made day after day. The truth about sacrifice hits harder than most want to admit. Everything worthwhile has a price, and that price must be paid in advance. You can't achieve tomorrow's dreams while clinging to today's comforts. That promotion you want, it requires sacrificing leisure time for extra work and study. That healthy body you desire, it demands sacrificing temporary pleasures for consistent exercise and proper nutrition. That financial freedom you dream about, it calls for sacrificing immediate purchases for long-term investments. But here's what makes sacrifice powerful. It's not just about giving things up, it's about trading up. When you sacrifice, you're not losing, you're investing. Every time you choose the harder path, you're buying stock in your future. Every moment of discomfort you embrace today becomes strength for tomorrow. Consider the seed planted in soil. It must sacrifice its current form entirely, break apart in the darkness, push through hard earth, and endure harsh elements before it can become a mighty tree. This natural process mirrors our own journey to success. We too must be willing to break free from our comfortable shell, endure difficult conditions, and persist through challenges before we can grow into something greater. The connection between sacrifice and future success isn't just philosophical, it's practical. It's mathematical. Every resource you have, time, energy, money, focus, is limited. To direct these resources toward your goals, you must redirect them from something else. This is the fundamental equation of achievement, and it cannot be cheated or shortcut. What exactly does sacrifice mean in practical terms? It's not simply giving things up. It's making a conscious choice to forgo something good now for something better in the future. When a mother wakes up at 5 a.m. to study before her children rise, she's sacrificing precious sleep to create better opportunities for her family. When a college student takes a part-time job instead of joining campus parties, they're sacrificing immediate social connections to build their future career. When an entrepreneur lives in a modest apartment while reinvesting profits into their business, they're sacrificing current comfort for future growth. Sacrifice shows up in every area of life where progress matters. In health, it's choosing a nutritious meal when your friends order fast food. In relationships, it's having that difficult conversation instead of avoiding conflict. In career growth, it's volunteering for challenging projects while others stick to comfortable routines. In personal development, it's reading books when you could be watching television. I remember meeting Sarah, a single mother who wanted to start her own business. Every day, she faced dozens of moments that tested her commitment to sacrifice. While her coworkers spent lunch breaks socializing, she worked on her business plan. Instead of relaxing after putting her kids to bed, she learned about marketing and accounting. She gave up her weekends to build her client base. Each sacrifice was a small deposit into her future success. But here's the reality that most people avoid. Sacrifice hurts. It's supposed to hurt. That discomfort is precisely what makes it valuable. If it were easy, everyone would do it, and it wouldn't lead to exceptional results. The pain of sacrifice is the price of admission to the life you want to create. Why do most people avoid sacrifice? The answer lies in our basic human wiring. Our brains are designed to seek pleasure and avoid pain, a survival mechanism that served our ancestors well, but often works against us in modern life. We're programmed to choose immediate rewards over future benefits, what psychologists call temporal discounting. Diet and exercise. Your brain will always prefer the immediate pleasure of a chocolate cake over the future benefit of a healthy body. It will always choose the comfort of sleeping in over the discomfort of early morning workouts. This isn't weakness. It's your primitive brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. Maximize immediate survival chances. The psychological barriers to sacrifice run deeper than just pleasure seeking. Fear plays a massive role. Fear of missing out drives people to spend money they should save. Fear of rejection keeps them from taking career risks. Fear of failure prevents them from starting that business, writing that book, or pursuing that dream. Another powerful barrier is social pressure. Humans are tribal creatures. We instinctively want to fit in with our group. When you choose sacrifice, you often have to go against the grain. You might be the only one in your friend group brown bagging lunch to save money. You might be the only family member skipping holiday gatherings to build your business. This social isolation can be harder to bear than the sacrifice itself. The comfort zone is perhaps the most insidious barrier to sacrifice. It's like a warm bed on a cold morning. The longer you stay in it, the harder it becomes to get out. People build their lives around routines and habits that feel safe and familiar. Breaking free requires not just sacrifice, but the courage to face uncertainty. I once spoke with a successful athlete about his training regimen. He told me something profound. The hardest part isn't the physical pain. It's the mental battle every morning when my alarm goes off at 4 a.m. In that moment, my mind presents every possible reason to stay in bed. The real sacrifice isn't the sleep. It's fighting that mental battle every single day. Understanding these psychological barriers is crucial because it helps us develop strategies to overcome them. When you recognize that your resistance to sacrifice is just your brain trying to keep you safe and comfortable, you can begin to make conscious choices rather than reactive ones. You can learn to override your immediate impulses in service of your longer-term goals. The key to overcoming these barriers lies in what I call future visualization. It's the ability to make tomorrow's benefits feel more real than today's discomfort. When you can vividly imagine the future you're sacrificing for, see it, feel it, taste it, you strengthen your resolve to endure present challenges. This brings us to an important truth about the nature of sacrifice. It's not a one-time decision, but a daily choice. Every day presents multiple opportunities to choose between immediate gratification and future benefit. Each choice might seem small in the moment, but these decisions compound over time to create your future reality. In the end, understanding the nature of sacrifice doesn't make it easier, but it makes it more meaningful. When you understand that your resistance is normal, that the discomfort is valuable, and that the barriers are surmountable, you can approach sacrifice not as a burden, but as a tool for transformation. Each sacrifice becomes not just something you endure, but something you embrace as part of your journey toward a better tomorrow. Your life changes the moment you understand this truth. Every day, you make hundreds of small decisions that shape your future. These aren't the big, dramatic choices that make headlines. They're the quiet moments when you choose between what's easy and what's right. The decision to hit snooze or rise early. The choice between spending or saving that $20. The moment you pick between watching another episode or opening that educational book. Consider what happens when you save just $5 daily. In isolation, it seems insignificant, but compound the choice over a year. It becomes $1825. Over 10 years, with modest investment returns, it could grow to over $25,000. This same compounding effect applies to every area of life where you make sacrifices. I once interviewed Thomas, who built a successful tech company from scratch. He shared how his path to success wasn't paved with grand gestures, but with small daily sacrifices. Every morning, while his competitors slept until 8, he woke at 5 to study industry trends. Instead of going out for lunch, he ate simple sandwiches at his desk while learning programming. During weekends, when friends invited him to parties, he stayed home coding and refining his business plan. None of these choices seemed significant in isolation, but together they created his success. Similarly, Maria, an Olympic medalist I spoke with in 1988, described how her journey wasn't just about the big competitions. It was about the daily choice to train when others rested. Every morning at 4:30 a.m., she faced the same decision: stay in her warm bed or brave the cold pool. Every Friday night, she chose between joining friends for movies or getting proper rest for Saturday morning training. These weren't just physical sacrifices. They were moments of character building. The connection between sacrifice and success becomes clear when you break it down mathematically. Success requires three key resources: time, energy, and focus. Each day gives you 24 hours of time, a finite amount of energy, and limited attention span. Every time you sacrifice immediate pleasure, you're reallocating these resources toward your goals. Take professional development as an example. Reading one educational article instead of scrolling social media might take just 15 minutes. Do this daily, and in a year, you've invested 91 hours in your growth. That's more than 2 full work weeks of learning, achieved through small daily sacrifices of time and attention. But here's what makes daily choices so powerful. They create compound interest in multiple areas simultaneously. When you sacrifice that hour of evening television to exercise, you're not just building physical strength. You're also developing discipline, proving your commitment to yourself, and creating momentum that carries into other areas of life. I remember talking to a successful businessman who started with nothing. He told me about his brown bag strategy, bringing lunch from home every day instead of buying it. This simple choice saved him roughly $10 daily, which he invested in his business. But the real benefit wasn't just financial. This daily sacrifice taught him budgeting, self-control, and long-term thinking, skills that proved invaluable as his business grew. The sacrifice operates on 3 levels: practical, psychological, and philosophical. Practically, each sacrifice frees up resources for your goals. Psychologically, every time you choose long-term benefit over immediate pleasure, you strengthen your willpower. Philosophically, these choices shape your identity. You become someone who values growth over comfort. Consider how top performers in any field approach daily choices. They understand that excellence isn't built in the spotlight, but in private moments of decision. A champion boxer's success isn't determined in the ring. It's built in those early morning runs when no one's watching. A successful writer's breakthrough doesn't happen at the book signing. It's created in those quiet hours of writing while others sleep. The power of daily choices reveals itself most clearly when you look back over time. 5 years from now, the difference between success and mediocrity won't be found in dramatic moments. It will be the accumulated result of thousands of small sacrifices, or the lack thereof. Every time you choose the harder path, you're casting a vote for your future self. Understanding this truth transforms how you view each day. Suddenly, every moment becomes an opportunity. That morning coffee purchase isn't just about $5. It's about what that money could become through investment. That hour of television isn't just about entertainment. It's about what you could create or learn in that time. Each choice carries the weight of your future success or failure. The power of daily choices lies not just in their individual impact, but in their cumulative effect on your character. Each sacrifice strengthens your resolve, builds your discipline, and reinforces your commitment to long-term success. You're not just creating better circumstances. You're creating a better version of yourself. Creating a sacrifice strategy isn't just about giving things up randomly. It requires careful thought and systematic action. Just as a master chess player plans several moves ahead, you must develop a clear plan for your sacrifices that aligns with your ultimate goals. This isn't about depriving yourself. It's about making strategic choices that serve your future. Start by conducting what I call a life audit. Take an honest look at how you spend your time, money, and energy. Track your activities for a week. Every hour, every dollar, every ounce of effort. Most people who do this discover something shocking. Between what they say they value and how they actually spend their resources is enormous. You might say your dream is to start a business, but find you're spending 4 hours daily watching television. I recall a conversation with Robert, a talented musician who struggled to finish his album. When he tracked his time, he discovered he was spending 3 hours each evening on social media and video games. Once he saw this clearly, his choice became obvious. He could keep his entertainment habits and let his dreams slip away, or sacrifice those hours for his music. Today, his album has sold over 100,000 copies. The key to identifying what to give up lies in understanding the concept of value hierarchy. Not all sacrifices are equal. Giving up an hour of sleep to work on your goals might be productive, but giving up an hour with your children might damage important relationships. Your strategy must balance different areas of life while moving you toward your objectives. Building new habits is crucial to making your sacrifices sustainable. You can't rely on willpower alone. It's a finite resource that depletes throughout the day. Instead, you need to create systems that make sacrifice your default mode. This means restructuring your environment to support your choices. Take Angela, a working mother who wanted to write a book. She created what she called her morning fortress. She set up her writing space the night before, placed her phone in another room, and had her coffee maker programmed to start it at 5 a.m. These environmental changes made it easier to sacrifice sleep for writing time. Within 18 months, she completed her manuscript. The battle against immediate gratification requires understanding how your brain works. Your mind has two competing systems, the emotional brain that wants pleasure now and the rational brain that plans for the future. The emotional brain is powerful. It's why you might know you should save money but still make impulse purchases. To overcome this, use what I call the future self technique. Before making any decision, take a moment to vividly imagine your future self. See yourself 5 years from now, experiencing the results of either choice. Feel the pride or regret, the success or failure, the growth or stagnation. This mental time travel helps strengthen your rational brain's influence over your choices. Another powerful strategy is creating what I call sacrifice anchors. Be specific times and places dedicated to your most important sacrifices. Maybe it's 5-7 a.m. for studying or Sunday afternoons for business planning. These anchors become non-negotiable appointments with your future success. The hardest part of any sacrifice strategy is maintaining consistency when results aren't immediately visible. This is where most people fail. They give up because they can't see the connection between their sacrifices and their goals. Combat this by keeping detailed records of your sacrifices and celebrating small wins along the way. I worked with Michael, an aspiring entrepreneur who created a sacrifice journal. Every day he wrote down what he gave up and connected it to his larger goal. Skipped in or out, $50 toward business fund. Woke up early. 2 hours of market research completed. This simple practice helped him see his sacrifices as investments rather than deprivations. Your sacrifice strategy must also include recovery period. Just as an athlete needs rest days to build strength, you need planned breaks to sustain long-term sacrifice. Schedule specific times when you can relax your discipline without guilt. This prevents burnout and makes your strategy sustainable. Remember that your sacrifice strategy isn't set in stone. It should evolve as you progress. What you need to give up today might be different from what you need to sacrifice 6 months from now. Regular review and adjustment of your strategy ensures you're always making the most effective sacrifices for your goals. The ultimate test of your sacrifice strategy is whether it brings you closer to your goals while maintaining your core relationships and values. A good strategy feels challenging but not crushing, demanding but not destroying. It should stretch you beyond your comfort zone while keeping you aligned with your fundamental principles. Think of your sacrifice strategy as a personal investment plan. Every choice to give up something today is buying stock in your future success. The dividends might not be immediate, but they're guaranteed if you stick to your plan with patience and persistence. Understanding the rewards of sacrifice requires a shift in thinking about time. Most people live in what I call today thinking, focusing only on immediate results and instant gratification. But those who achieve remarkable success operate on tomorrow thinking. They see how present actions create future outcomes. Let me share David's story, a man I mentored in the early 1980s. When he started his technology company, he lived in a tiny studio apartment and drove a 15-year-old car. His friends thought he was foolish, working 16-hour days while they enjoyed life. For 3 years, he reinvested every dollar back into his business. He missed parties, holidays, and what others called the best years of life. Today, his company employs over 1,000 people, and he's helped countless families build better lives. But here's what's fascinating. When I asked him about those years of sacrifice, he said those weren't years of loss. They were years of building. Every sacrifice was like laying another brick in the foundation of my future. The short-term benefits of sacrifice might seem small, even non-existent. When you choose to save instead of spend, you don't see your wealth grow overnight. When you choose to exercise instead of relax, you don't see instant muscle growth. When you study instead of socializing, you don't gain immediate expertise. This is why most people struggle with sacrifice. They can't connect present discomfort with future rewards. But the long-term benefits of sacrifice operate like compound interest. Each sacrifice builds upon the previous one, creating what I call the success spiral. Consider Maria, an immigrant who worked 2 jobs while attending night school. Every evening, she sacrificed sleep and leisure to study. After 5 years, she not only earned her degree, but developed incredible discipline, time management skills, and resilience. These qualities made her invaluable to employers, leading to rapid career advancement. Her initial sacrifice of time multiplied into increased income, opportunities, and life quality. The multiplier effect of sacrifice is perhaps its most powerful aspect. When you sacrifice immediate pleasures for future gains, you're not just affecting one area of life. You're creating positive ripples across many domains. Take Thomas, a young father who gave up television to start a side business. His initial sacrifice of entertainment time produced multiple rewards. Additional income from his business improved focus and discipline, enhanced business skills, and most importantly, he became a role model for his children, showing them the value of hard work and delayed gratification. I remember interviewing a successful athlete who explained this multiplier effect perfectly. She said, "When I chose to train instead of party in college, I thought I was just sacrificing for my sport. But those early morning training sessions taught me discipline that helped in my career. The mental toughness I developed helped me handle business challenges. The goal-setting skills transferred to every area of life. What looked like sacrifice for one thing actually upgraded my entire life." The rewards of sacrifice often exceed our expectation because they come in forms we couldn't predict. James, a software developer, sacrificed his weekends for 2 years to learn advanced programming languages. Yes, he gained technical skills, but he also developed problem-solving abilities that made him a better parent, patience that improved his marriage, and persistence that helped him overcome personal challenges. His sacrifice created what I call a success ecosystem, a self-reinforcing network of positive outcomes. There's another crucial aspect of sacrifice rewards. They tend to be permanent. When you sacrifice comfort for knowledge, that knowledge stays with you forever. When you sacrifice spending for investing, those investments continue growing. When you sacrifice easy choices for character building, that stronger character serves you for life. This permanence makes sacrifice one of the best investments you can make in yourself. Consider the story of Sarah, who sacrificed a high-paying corporate job to start her own business. The first 2 years were brutal. Long hours, uncertain income, constant stress. But she gained something priceless, complete control over her time and future. Now, 10 years later, she not only earns more than her old corporate salary, but has created jobs for others and built something meaningful. Her temporary sacrifice created permanent change. The multiplier effect of sacrifice extends beyond individual success. It often impacts generations. When parents sacrifice to provide education for their children, they're not just helping one generation. They're changing the trajectory of their family tree. When entrepreneurs sacrifice to build businesses, they're not just creating personal wealth. They're generating opportunities for countless others. I've observed that the rewards of sacrifice often arrive in 3 waves. The first wave is personal development, the skills, discipline, and strength you build through the act of sacrificing. The second wave is direct results, the specific outcomes you sacrificed for. The third wave is unexpected benefits, the opportunities, connections, and advantages that come because you become the kind of person who can sacrifice for greater goals. The pain is temporary, but the rewards are permanent. Every sacrifice you make today is planting seeds that will bear fruit for years to come. The discomfort of sacrifice fades quickly, but the benefits compound indefinitely. Your future begins now in this exact moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. The greatest mistake people make is waiting for the perfect moment to start their journey of sacrifice. That perfect moment doesn't exist. The only moment you have is now, and it's powerful enough to change everything. Start with what I call the 1-hour challenge. Take 1 hour from your day, just 1 hour, and then dedicate it to your most important goal. Maybe it's the hour you usually spend watching television, or scrolling through social media, or sleeping in. Take that hour and invest it in your future. 1 hour might seem small, but remember this. Success is built on small beginnings. I remember talking to a successful author who started his journey with just 30 minutes of writing each morning. The hardest part, he told me, wasn't finding the time. It was making the decision to start. Once I committed to that small sacrifice, everything else fell into place. Today, his books have sold millions of copies, all because he made that initial choice to sacrifice a small portion of his day. The key to building momentum through sacrifice lies in what I call the compound effect of commitment. Each time you follow through on a promised sacrifice, you build trust with yourself. This self-trust becomes a powerful force. When you prove to yourself that you can sacrifice 1 hour, you gain the confidence to sacrifice 2. When you successfully give up 1 comfort for your goals, you develop the strength to give up more. A train leaving the station, at first it moves slowly, fighting against inertia. But once it builds momentum, it becomes nearly unstoppable. Your journey of sacrifice works the same way. The first few days might feel difficult, even painful. But as you build momentum, the sacrifices become easier and your progress becomes more evident. Consider James, a middle-aged man who decided to transform his health. He started by sacrificing just 15 minutes of television time for exercise. Those 15 minutes grew to 30, then an hour. Within a year, he had lost 60 pounds, gained energy he hadn't felt in decades, and inspired his entire family to adopt healthier habits. His small initial sacrifice created a ripple effect that transformed multiple lives. The momentum you build through sacrifice creates what I call success inevitability. When you consistently choose future benefit over present comfort, success becomes not a matter of if, but when. Every sacrifice adds another brick to the foundation of your future achievement. Every choice to delay gratification strengthens your character and moves you closer to your goals. Here's a crucial truth. The size of your sacrifice doesn't matter as much as your consistency. Small sacrifices made consistently will always outperform large sacrifices made sporadically. Start where you are with what you have. If all you can sacrifice today is 30 minutes or $5, start there. Consistency will multiply your efforts over time. The ultimate promise of tomorrow rests on the shoulders of today's sacrifices. Every time you choose the harder path, every time you opt for future benefit over present pleasure, you're voting for a better tomorrow. You're telling yourself and the world that you believe in your potential, that you're willing to pay the price for success. Your future self is watching your current choices. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, looking back at this moment. Will that future self thank you for the sacrifices you made? Or will they wish you had started sooner, sacrificed more, stayed committed longer? The answer to those questions lies in the choices you make today. Remember this. Every great achievement in history came through sacrifice. The American Revolution required sacrifice. Landing on the moon required sacrifice. Building great companies required sacrifice. Your dreams require sacrifice, too. The only question is whether you're willing to pay the price for the future you want. The beautiful truth about sacrifice is that it's always within your control. You can't control the economy, other people's choices, or external circumstances. But you can always control your willingness to sacrifice for your goals. This power to choose sacrifice is your greatest tool for creating the future you desire. Start today. Start now. Choose one thing to sacrifice for your better tomorrow. Make it specific, make it measurable, make it meaningful. Write it down. Share it with someone who will hold you accountable. Then, most importantly, follow through. Let today be the day you begin building your better tomorrow through conscious, purposeful sacrifice. Your future is created by your present choices. Every sacrifice you make today is a gift to your future self. Make those sacrifices count. Make them meaningful. Make them matter. The time for waiting is over. The time for action is now. Your better tomorrow waits, but it will only come through the sacrifices you make today. Choose wisely, choose courageously, and choose now. The future belongs to those who sacrifice today for a better tomorrow. Will you be one of them? The choice is yours, and the moment is now. Starting now, this moment is the key that unlocks your future potential. Waiting for perfect conditions means waiting forever. The journey of sacrifice doesn't begin when everything aligns perfectly. It begins with your decision to take the first step regardless of circumstances. Begin with what I call the sacred hour principle. Identify 1 hour in your day that you'll protect and dedicate to your most important goal. This hour becomes non-negotiable, a daily appointment with your future success. For example, if your goal is starting a business, this becomes your hour for market research, planning, or learning essential skills. If you're pursuing education, this hour transforms into focused study time. The specific time doesn't matter as much as your unwavering commitment to maintain it. Let me share a powerful story about Michael, a factory worker, met in 1987. He dreamed of becoming an engineer, but had a full-time job and family responsibilities. He identified his sacred hour, 5:00 a.m. to 6:00 a.m. before his family woke up. Every morning, without fail, he studied engineering concepts. Some days he could barely keep his eyes open, but he persisted. 4 years later, he earned his engineering degree and doubled his income. Today, he runs his own engineering firm. His success started with that 1-hour commitment. Building momentum through sacrifice follows what I call the compound effect of daily discipline. Each time you honor your commitment to sacrifice, you strengthen your character and expand your capacity for future sacrifices. Think of it like building muscle. Every rep makes you stronger, enabling you to lift heavier weights over time. Similarly, each sacrifice builds your success muscles, making larger sacrifices possible. Sarah, a single mother, demonstrated this principle perfectly. She began by sacrificing 30 minutes of evening television to work on her writing. As this small sacrifice became easier, she expanded it to an hour, then 2. Within 18 months, she completed her first novel while maintaining her full-time job and caring for her children. Her initial small sacrifice created momentum that carried her toward her larger goal. The momentum you build creates what I call success velocity. Just as a moving object gains kinetic energy, your consistent sacrifices generate a force that propels you toward your goals. Each sacrifice adds to this momentum, making the next one easier and more natural. Soon, sacrifice becomes not just a choice, but a fundamental part of who you are. Understanding the 3 phases of sacrifice helps maintain momentum. Phase 1 is resistance, where every sacrifice feels difficult, and you must consciously push yourself to follow through. Phase 2 is rhythm, where sacrifices become more natural, like a daily habit. Phase 3 is reward, where you begin seeing tangible results from your sacrifices, reinforcing your commitment. Consider Thomas, an entrepreneur who went through these phases. In phase 1, he struggled to sacrifice his evenings and weekends for his business. During phase 2, this schedule became his new normal. By phase 3, his business showed promising growth, making his sacrifices feel worthwhile. Understanding these phases helped him persist when others might have given up. The ultimate promise of tomorrow rests on a fundamental truth. Your future is being created by your present choices. Every time you choose sacrifice over comfort, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. These choices compound over time, creating not just different circumstances, but a different you. Your future self exists in potential, waiting to be brought into reality through your sacrifices. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, having made all the necessary sacrifices to achieve your goals. See yourself enjoying the fruits of your labor, experiencing the freedom, success, or impact you desire. This future version of you is possible, but only through the gateway of present sacrifice. The power of sacrifice lies in its ability to transform not just your circumstances, but your character. When you consistently choose long-term benefit over immediate pleasure, you develop qualities that serve you in every area of life. Discipline, perseverance, strategic thinking, and delayed gratification. These qualities become permanent assets, paying dividends long after the initial sacrifice is made. Begin your journey today with these specific steps. First, identify your sacred hour, the time you'll dedicate to your most important goal. Second, create what I call a sacrifice journal. Document what you're giving up and connect it directly to your future vision. Third, find an accountability partner who understands the power of sacrifice and can support your journey. Remember this true score. Every base in human history came through sacrifice. The greatest inventions, businesses, and personal transformations all required someone choosing to give up present comfort for future greatness. Your dreams deserve no less commitment. The time for action is now. Choose your sacrifice, make your commitment, and take your first step. Let today be remembered as the day you decided to invest in your tomorrow through purposeful sacrifice. Your future self is waiting, watching, hoping you'll make the choice that begins your transformation. The power is in your hands, and the time is now.